Hello, friends. Today is Wear Purple Day in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness. And so, in the spirit of that, I want to share with you 3 quick warning signs that you can observe in your friends. If you see a friend doing these things a lot, it's possible they are hiding that they are in an abusive relationship. And these are from my own life, things that I did for many, many years when I was in an abusive marriage. So, the first thing I did all the time was avoid eye contact. I knew that if I looked into my family's eyes, if I looked into my friends' eyes who loved me, they would see the pain that was deep inside of you, because I truly believe eyes are the windows to our soul. And so there were so many times I'd been crying and I would go to my mom's house for something and just make sure not to look at her because I thought she would be able to see the pain in my eyes. So if you have a friend that you notice always avoids eye contact, that might be a sign that something is wrong. Number 2 thing that I did is I was so quick to dismiss any questions about if I was okay. Even good friends who would say, "How are you really doing? How are you feeling?" Those prodding questions, I was so guarded against, because I knew if I actually started talking, it all could come out. And so if you have a friend that you feel like, I just feel like she's not honest, or maybe I just can never get deep with her, it's possible that she's hiding the secret. And so that's the second thing. Number 3 thing that I did specifically was make excuses for my husband all the time. Well, why isn't he at church? Oh, he didn't feel good last night. Or, I just was the excuse queen so that I could hide up his behavior, so that other people wouldn't figure out his bad behavior. And so that's another thing. If you see someone who's constantly making excuses for her husband, and it's even things that you're like, well, I feel like that's not good behavior. And she's like, oh, no, it's fine. I don't mind that I do all the dishes, or I don't mind that he never takes me to restaurants I like to go to, or whatever, something that in her mind is like, this is not bad enough that anybody should raise any red flags. But if you see a friend who's constantly making excuses for her partner, that's another possible red flag. And so those 3 red flags are something that you can look for: avoiding eye contact, being dismissive about the question, are you okay, and making excuses for their partner. So then I want to quickly tell you, what can you do if you have a friend that you're noticing these red flags? The most important thing is you cannot talk to them unless they feel like they are in a safe place. The only reason I finally opened up to my sister was because I was in her house, far away from my husband. And so you can't do it at a coffee shop. You can't do it at their house. You have to do it in a safe place for them, and you have to ease into it. And so I want to just give you a couple questions that you could maybe use to help. Because if you just come out very defensive, like, hey, I think your husband's mistreating you, or hey, is your partner abusing you? Instantly defenses will come up. But if you use questions like this, it might even trigger in their own mind the reality of how bad it is. That was what my experience was, as I started talking to my sister about what I thought was just normal conversation, is when she said, that's not okay. And so the first question you could ask is, do you know what your love language is? How does your husband or partner recently showed you love in that way? Because I was very aware that my love language was words of affirmation, and that he used hurtful words, not nice words. So that would have been something that made me think, oh boy, how do I answer this in a way that doesn't give away the fact that he calls me all sorts of mean words? The next thing that you could ask is, what has he sacrificially done for you lately? And even something as simple as, like, I was really tired and it was trash day, so he got up and took out the trash. That is something I've learned from my sister's healthy relationships and my brother's healthy marriage. That's a normal partner thing. As a normal partner, you say, hey, you're tired. Hey, you're weak. I'll do that for you. And that's something that when you're in, especially a narcissistic relationship, that person's never sacrificing for you. So if your friend cannot tell you a time that their partner has lovingly sacrificed doing a simple task for them, that's a red flag. The next thing you could ask them, and these are like a progression to get them talking. Because again, if you just start out, blah, I think you're being abused, they probably won't go anywhere. But then you can ask, have you ever been afraid of your husband? Because again, in a healthy relationship, you should not be afraid. But if your friend says, well, yeah, isn't everybody afraid of him sometimes? Because that was my thought. I thought, well, behind closed doors, all husbands are bad secretly, and they just put on a good show, because that's what mine did. And so again, these questions are to also help your friends start thinking and recognizing how bad the abuse was. Because even though I lived in it, you're in survival mode. And so you're not really processing how bad it was. It took me telling my siblings and seeing the pain in their eyes and seeing the hurt in their eyes and the anger in their eyes toward my ex to realize, oh my gosh, my life has been so bad and I've just been hiding it. And so ultimately, the best question to ask if someone tells you, yes, I've been in an abusive relationship, is, do you want me to help you get out? And then it's a big process, and you have to be determined to be faithful to help them through that as they go to the police, or they find a new place to live, or they kick him out. Whatever the process is, there's different ways that people do it. Be that friend who does not abandon them through that hard time. But as Christians especially, it's our job to support one another and care for one another. And it so saddens me how many Christian women I know are hiding because they think they're supposed to be the submissive wife. And so on Domestic Violence Awareness Wear Purple Day, I want to encourage you to look for signs and be willing to be vocal in your friend's life and help them get free.